The quest for perfection starts with one strike. The double is next if your arm swing's not tight. Turkey is served for 3 in a row. Some call it 4-bagger or a ham bone, you know. 5 is for Yahtzee, and a 6-pack is tough. 7 is heaven. But 8 aren't enough. Number 9 is the foundation for 3 more in your quest. After the 1st and the 10th, the 11th will test your nerves and a chance for a place in history. "12 strikes are as perfect as bowling can be." Today from Taylor, Michigan, just outside of Detroit, the PBA presents the first event of their new Extreme Swing. We welcome you to the PBA Ultimate Scoring Championship. Happy Sunday to you. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you. Only 18 times has there been a televised perfect 300 game rolled. We may see number 19 today because the lane conditions are set up in such a manner that the pros should absolutely devour them.
They are. It's why it's called the Ultimate Scoring Championship. In order to have big scores, you have to have some help on the lanes. PBA came out with an oil pattern that's similar to a league shot. It's not the same, but let's just say the guys have a little bit extra help to get their ball to the pocket. This week, we had 18 300 games. Patrick Allen averaged 260 in qualifying. So, yeah, Rob, you know what? We just could very well see another 300 game on TV.
Gaudy numbers thrown all week long. Here's a look at our 4 finalists, and we begin with Maximum Bob, Robert Smith.
The most powerful strike ball on tour, Maximum Bob is looking for his 8th career win.
The lone lefty of our 4 finalists is Mike Scroggins, who initially made his name by destroying lane conditions like today's.
And Mike Wolfe, the cyborg, real business-like out on the lanes. He knows how to throw a lot of strikes. His last win came against Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Our 4th finalist is Bill O'Neill, who will be making his 3rd straight televised appearance, but is still seeking that elusive first tour title. And O'Neill will face Wolfe in our 2nd semi, but we begin with Robert Smith versus Mike Scroggins. Robert Smith will start us off. Recently moved just outside of Columbus, Ohio. Been a tour member since 1998. Maximum Bob fighting some back issues and hip issues. But this is a format that was really kind of catered with him in mind. That is not how we expected to start this tournament.
No, you're right, Rob. And this ball right here, he gets it down in the downswing just a little bit too quick. You see a very unusual release for him. Chicken winged it a bit. Right through the nose, leaving the 4-6-7.
So an early opening for Mike Scroggins, a guy who, Randy, you think really has a serious advantage today, being the sole lefty.
I do. He's got the whole left side of the lane to himself. It's an easier pattern. He doesn't have to worry about trying to manipulate the ball to get it to the pocket. It's already there. All he has to do is pry it off his hand. And then hope for some pin carry.
Lefty leaves the 7, native of Amarillo, Texas. 5 Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour titles on his resume, and he will clean that up. This is his 2nd televised appearance of the season. He had 6 last season. Finally, we get a strike, and We talked about the chance of a 300 game today. We talked about all the 300 games that were rolled this week during qualifying. But, you know, Randy, when you know high scores are going to be had, it does a little something to your psyche, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I mean, you start thinking that, hey, the first one that misses in a match is going to lose. And, you know, with an open frame early, the good news for Robert Smith is it happened in the first frame. He can still strike out to shoot 279.
And there's that first strike. Take a look at their averages through the week, and a high of 268 for Scroggins. Robert Smith, one of many to roll a 300 this week during qualifying for this, the Ultimate Scoring Championship. And another for Smith. And we talk every week about the oil conditions. It's similar to, you know, I guess it's similar to a golf course, you know, where you know, wet conditions, or how's the rough going to be? What's the green going to be like? And this is a golf course that's laid out for some low scores.
Yeah,
low scores for golf, high scores for bowling.
Right. I would equate this to, like, say, the Bob Hope Desert Classic, where it takes 27 under to win. But again, you know, you still have to throw the ball decently. You have to have some pin carry. And I bowled on this oil pattern yesterday. And it's not the easiest oil pattern I've ever bowled on. The players that are on the telecast today said the same thing. Is it easier than what they bowl on a weekly basis? Absolutely. Is it the easiest thing they've ever competed on? No. And remember, just for comparison's sake, 18 300 games this week, and that's not a record. 24 is the record.
So Scroggins has gone spare, strike, spare as we begin the fourth. And we asked him what his initial reaction was when he heard about this format. We'll tell you about that in a second.
Yeah.
Blows up those 10 pins. He said, well, you know, in his normal, unassuming way, well, it's something different. Thought the pros would eat this alive. I think they could have been easier. I've bowled on a lot of house shots that were a lot simpler than this one. Can't just give them the 300 game, Randy. They got to earn it.
And I think the only thing that's missing on this oil pattern is just more friction to the outside part of the lane. There's enough oil in the middle, a little more friction out, and now you're talking real easy.
Well, 3 in a row for Smith after he began this match with an open frame.
And really the key for Robert Smith is to somehow find a way to bowl pain-free. And this has been quite a struggle for him over the last 5 years with a bad hip and back, just trying to get through it. He's already withdrawn out of 2 events this season. A little different setup for him as well. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, that's got to push. Rob, come on.
That ball is early into the swing, which makes the ball arrive at the foul line too close together with his slide foot. And anytime a power player does that, or anybody for that matter, the ball's going to go left. It's not going to project right. It's going left.
Oh, man. He gave last rights to that 3-6-10. So Scroggins has gone spare strike, spare strike. Now his effort in the 5th. Here's how Mike Scroggins qualified. Somehow was able to fight through Mike Edwards in the round of 8. There's his third strike.
Mike Scroggins can throw. He can throw a lot of strikes. He averaged 256 for a whole league season in 1999 in Amarillo, Texas. That included 15 800 series. That is not the record. The record, I believe, is held by Jeff Carter at over 260.
Scroggins did not bowl a 300 game, though, this week. Here's the 7. Second time he's done that this match.
And again, these players shouldn't have a problem getting the ball to the pocket. It's just going to come down to a matter of pin carry. This ball just a little off, leaving the weak 7.
So Scroggins completes the spare in the 6th. 3 spares, 3 strikes for him. He's on top by 3 over Robert Smith.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. By Geico, 15 minutes could save 15% on your car insurance. Visit geico.com. By Motel 6, the official lodging partner of the PBA. And by Denny's, where America's favorite breakfast is now available to go. Real breakfast 24/7.
The Tournament of Champions was still in its infancy when Jack Biondelillo stepped into pro bowling immortality. Competing in the 4th annual Firestone Tournament of Champions, Biondelillo opened the ABC Sports telecast with the first ever televised perfect game in PBA history, defeating Les Schischler 300 to 216, but will forever be remembered as the PBA's first perfect man.
And welcome back to Taylor Lanes here in Taylor, Michigan, just outside of downtown Detroit, in our continuing coverage of the PBA Ultimate Scoring Championship. Tomorrow night on Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8:30 Eastern. The playoff push continues for the Packers and the Saints. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown delivered by UPS. And we continue with our coverage of semifinal number 1 between Mike Scroggins and Robert Smith. Smith started with an open frame in the 1st, then 3 consecutive strikes and a spare in the 5th. Fighting all kinds of back and hip issues. He's wearing some heat pads right now, 3 on his back and 2 on his leg hip area. Try and keep everything loose and warm.
And Rob, at 34 years of age, Robert Smith really is a mess with these injuries. And, you know, he said, listen, guys, if I can't get healthy, if I can't get rid of this pain, I've got no choice but to retire. Robert Smith sure was impressive during his march to today's telecast, especially once the tournament hit match play. 11 of his 15 games were 245 or better, and he averaged over 251. He then excused Sean Rash from the round of 8 in quick fashion by rolling 4 games of 246 or better to win the match 4-1 and advance to today's telecast.
We've seen multiple specialists says bowling is the only thing that hurts it, and I'm running out of options. If it doesn't get better, I'm retiring.
I'll be the first to say that it would be a shame for this tour to lose a guy like that.
He's been more of a muscle type guy, more of a muscle bowler through the years, but during the offseason, he really tried to change that.
Yeah, he tried to soften it up a bit, go a little bit straighter to try to take some of the strain and wear and tear off his body, but hey, instinct is instinct, man. He's a power player.
Scroggins with 8 top 10 finishes last season and had the 6th best average, just over 221.
Well, I got to tell you, this is just a pretty poor shot, and I think Mike Scroggins will be the first one to tell you that was full yankage coming in heavy, leaving the 6 pin.
won 2 titles last season for the first time in his career. Has 5 total. He's been on the tour for 17 years. There's his 4th strike of this match. And the number's a little lower than we anticipated. I mean, we still know this is has some challenge to it, the oil pattern, but we thought the pros would be doing a little bit better at this stage.
Comparatively speaking, what the players face on a weekly basis, I mean, most of the time the patterns are very flat. This has got some buildup in the middle. When you look at some of the numbers, PJ Haggerty averaged 253 for 7 games in the TQR round. Parker Bowden III, he averaged 259 for 7 games in the
Ball's not
first
gonna
round
hit
of
if you don't sit in the shot.
Patrick Allen, as we said earlier, averaged 260 for 14 games, tying a PBA record. There was big scores all week. As everyone knows that follows the tour and watches television religiously, TV day is TV day.
18 of the 28 perfect games rolled this season, about 64% registered so far, were shot here during the Ultimate Scoring Championship week.
Boy, it just looks like Robert is in pain. And you just wonder, how good would he be if he was healthy?
On that one.
Does to the pins, Rob, when that ball catches a piece of the 1-3, I mean, there's not a whole lot left, no matter what angle it's coming in at.
PBA.com is your best source for all the latest PBA news, including information about PBA Experience bowling leagues. Those leagues, which are a joint venture between the PBA and USBC, give league bowlers the chance to bowl in the same oil patterns that the pros compete on each week. Head on over to PBA.com. Check that out.
Carry.
That'll help Scroggins lead. So both our semifinalists strike in the foundation, and we move on to the 10th. Needs just 9 to move on to the final.
And this is kind of what we were expecting. Guys get loose and start throwing some more strikes. Mike Scroggins can now strike out for 238. That's Robert Smith can shoot 225.
And the beauty as well for Scroggins, he knows that the second semifinal is going to do nothing to alter his side of the lanes. 2 righties, Bill O'Neill and Mike Wolfe, waiting in semi number 2.
One time.
Yeah. Scroggins moves on.
Rob, I don't want to tell you what they're chanting, my friend, but it kind of rhymes with or agger.
I don't know what you're talking
or
about.
4-bagger.
Looking for 5 in a row. Scroggins and blows him up. Throws down a Yahtzee to conclude this one. 238 for the southpaw.
So what does the future hold for Robert Smith? I think that's the big question with his health concerns, his body just not being able to do this on a weekly basis. There'll be some trying times in the near future for Robert Smith.
Yeah, he's done everything. He's gone to chiropractors, had the MRIs with some very prominent doctors. Shiatsu, yoga, Pilates, you name it. He is running out of options and running out of time. And he has just run himself out of this match. 238 to 205. Mike Scroggins rolls on to the title match of the Ultimate Scoring Championship. He will take on the winner of our next semifinal. Will it be Bill O'Neill or Mike Wolfe? Welcome back to our coverage of the PBA Ultimate Scoring Championship. 84 games of 250 or better were rolled through qualifying here. And to talk more about the lane conditions, here's Randy and the Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood.
This week's oil pattern is completely different than what we generally see out here on the Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour. Generally speaking, we bowl in a very flat pattern, very demanding. But this week, this pattern is similar to what you may see in league, where there's friction to the outside part of the lane and oil to the center part of the lane, thus creating a wider margin for error. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my regular shot. I'm looking about the 17th, 18th board, standing on the 34th board. I'm just going to try to feather this out to say 8-9 at the break point. Check this out. All right, so that was a pretty good shot. I hit right around where I was looking, got it to the right spot, and the ball behaved properly. Now I'm going to intentionally miss right of target. Watch this ball peel off of that spot and get right into the 1-3 pocket. Boy, I'll tell you what, that's every bowler's dream, is knowing that when you miss to the right of target, that ball is going to hit friction and return. Watch this, I'm going to intentionally miss inside of target. Watch this ball hit that heavy oil and hold its line to the pocket. This week is all about high scores. And because of the technology that we have at our disposal today with the oiling machines, we're able to put down oil patterns that create an environment that enable these high-powered bowling balls to get to the pocket more often, thus knocking more pins down.
Since the mid-1980s, high-tech bowling balls and pristine precision lane conditions have seen a huge spike in the number of 300 game honor matches rolled across leagues here in America. Now, from hundreds per year in the 1960s to now, there are over 50,000 sanctioned 300 games annually. The line between the league and professional bowler has really grayed over the years, and the Ultimate Scoring Championship is the PBA's way to showcase their stars' skills on a lane oil pattern that resembles that of a typical league condition.
The PBA Tour decided to have this Ultimate Scoring Championship because the biggest controversy in bowling over the last couple decades has been the scoring credibility in recreational and league bowling.
Well, this week with the Ultimate Scoring Challenge, we saw a version of a league pattern, and what you saw was a lot of very high scores.
The typical PBA fan needs to really understand that back at home, you can always throw it outside of 5 or outside of 10. There's usually a very big oil line somewhere in that part of the lane. That makes the lane very conducive to high scores.
When you bowl league, you're in the same house with the same condition every week. Nothing has changed. On the PBA, we walk in, it's an invisible playing field. I don't know what's out there and I can't see it. I have to know what ball motion is, I have to know my equipment. It's so different because you can't see it, so you have to learn it.
By putting a condition on the lanes similar to what you would find in league play, we give the professional bowlers a chance to show what they would do in that environment.
We tied the overall scoring record this week. We had 19 300s, and we had some matches that were unbelievable where every shot mattered, 10 and 11 strikes a game.
I just hope they respect us a little more. You know, sometimes they see us bowling 210 and 2-0 on the show, and they might think they'd come out and do just as good, and you know, it's not the case.
I think the best way that you can elevate your game to the next level and understand what the PBA players play on every week is to join a PBA Experience League.
You have an opportunity to bowl on all 5 patterns, see how each pattern plays differently from the other, and get better at all of them.
That's the only way you're going to get better, and really it's the only way you're going to understand what we go through every week.
Our top 50 all-time greatest bowlers on the PBA Tour continues with Chris Barnes at 26.
Chris Barnes with 10 titles and 2 majors, the 1998 Rookie of the Year, and Chris became the fastest player ever to reach $1 million in career earnings.
The imposing Steve Cook at number 25, 6'7", 265, won 3 major titles.
At number 24, Jason Couch with 15 career titles and 4 majors. I think Jason is best known for winning back-to-back-to-back Tournament of Champion titles.
David Husted, 14 career titles, 4 of them majors, owns 3 U.S. Open titles alone, 82, 95, and 96.
And speaking of Tournament of Champions, Mike Durbin with 14 titles, he became the first 3-time winner of the TFC, inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame in 1984.
And one of my favorite names, Amleto Monticelli, the Venezuelan native, the first foreign-born player to win the PBA Player of the Year award. He won in back-to-back seasons in 89 and 90. Bo Burton with more on the only foreign-born player in the PBA Hall of Fame.
The first foreign player to be named PBA Player of the Year appears at number 21. Amleto Monticelli, a Venezuelan native, racked up 19 titles in his illustrious career, winning back-to-back Player of the Year awards in 1989 and 1990. His career highlights include a win in the 1989 Touring Players Championship and a pair of Japan Cup victories. He is the only international player in the PBA Hall of Fame, gaining induction in 1997.
And we'll continue our top 50 countdown next week in Chicago. Up next, though, semi number 2. Bill O'Neill getting marriage proposals. Will he get his first ever tour title? The semis, O'Neill, Mike Wolfe, coming up next.
Perfect game number 17 in PBA history took place right here at Taylor Lanes in suburban Detroit. The center, which had seen its share of PBA history, was host to Tony Reyes' masterpiece. Reyes shot his 300 game in the semifinal match against Hall of Famer Parker Bone III. He would go on to defeat Wes Malott to earn his first career title and dedicated the day to his late father.
Welcome back to Taylor, Michigan and Taylor Lanes, long-standing PBA Tour history here at Taylor Lanes. This is the 9th consecutive season they've hosted a PBA event and the 24th overall. Last year, Walter Ray Williams Jr. beat Eugene McCune here. Next week, we head to Vernon Hills, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Robert Smith, the defending champion for that event. And then December 7th, the Cheetah Championship at AMF Thruway Lanes in Cheektowaga, just outside of Buffalo. That event marks the 4th event in the 6-event PBA Versatility Swing. Take a look at our brackets. The lefty, Mike Scroggins, has moved on to the title match where he will face the winner of this semifinal number 2. Bill O'Neill seeking his first Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour title, dueling Mike Wolfe. Again, this is the 3rd consecutive televised appearance for Bill O'Neill. 65 career events without a title. Three times he's been a runner-up, including twice in the last 2 weeks.
Let's see if 3rd time's a charm for Bill O'Neill.
Mike Wolfe from New Albany, Indiana, which just is a few miles north of Louisville, Kentucky.
That's what they're supposed to do on this oil pattern, Rob. Show strikes. That's what they did all week. Unfortunately, sometimes you just can't factor in the hot lights, the stadium setting, the temperature goes up a little bit, the oil breaks down faster. But I look for some good scores in this match.
Again, the score in semifinal number 1, Mike Scroggins 238 to 205 over Robert Smith.
But you can't have good scores unless you have good pin carry. You know, the guys, all they can do is get the ball to the 1-3 pocket or the 1-2 pocket if you're a southpaw. When you're leaving ring and tens, it's not going to help your scoring.
Missed only one single pin spare conversion during the week. Takes care of that one in the second. Bill O'Neill was the number 1 seed last week and finished second.
Really?
There will be no 300 games. 300 game in this one. We'll have to wait for the final. Had a very solid start to the season. In order, he's finished 9th, 8th, 2nd, and 2nd. Kicks them all there.
Yeah, now he's just looking to get over the hump and get that first win under his belt. But you're right, he's bowled phenomenal this season. Here he gets a nice little break trip in the 4-pin. Hopefully that could get him going.
Mike Wolfe, 9 top 20s last season. His best finish was 3rd, but that was in the PBA exempt doubles classic. Rolled 2 300 games this week, and one of 4 who bowled multiple 300 games.
Bill O'Neill had 2. Patrick Allen had 2. Parker Bone III had 3.
Yeah, Patrick Allen was on a tear early on in this one. We talked about some of the great scores this week. Again, 18 perfect games were rolled. You see the multiple 300 games for Parker Bone III, Allen, Wolfe, O'Neill.
Unfortunately for Patrick Allen, in a bracketed format, he draws Mike Edwards in the first round. He's got Mike Edwards down 3-0, and Mike comes back and wins the next 4, knocks him out of the tournament. Patrick Allen definitely left his mark on the Ultimate Scoring Championship. You know, Rob, he was the leader after 2 rounds of qualifying, tying a PBA record with a 14-game average of 260 and a half. PA also rolled a pair of 300 games, and 11 of the 21 games he bowled in this event were 250 or better.
O'Neill trying to string together a pair of strikes right here as we begin the 4th for him.
10-pin. Rob, what type of adjustment would you make?
Worst question ever asked. Let's see. Move to the right. Take a little off of it.
You're actually
go down and kick it. What do you want?
Well, the first 2 was pretty good.
All right.
Maybe just lower the ball speed a bit so it turns the corner a little harder.
You're going to pay for that, Peterson. And it may come
are we
sooner
gonna have
than
a
later.
spelling contest? Thanks.
Might drop a little soccer, college football knowledge on you. Here's
I'm in trouble.
Bill O'Neill's road to the Final 4. Very casual, smooth swing there, and again the 10-pin defies him.
It's just not supposed to happen. It's just not supposed to happen.
You're getting angry over there.
It's too good of a shot to leave a ring in 10, but it's not right. Easy there, fella.
Sit back and smile about it. That's okay. So O'Neal, strike, spare, strike, and now consecutive spares. Wolfe, strike, spare, spare, strike. And here's his road to the semifinals. Took care of Pete Weber in 5. Gets a break.
You got to hit it to get it to look. Well, he went light the first time on that lane, or excuse me, the second time on that lane, and maybe a little adjustment there, and gets it going a little bit straighter up the lane, and it hooks high. And Rob, I got to tell you, I've been on both sides of this. You know, I've bowled events where the oil pattern or the lane conditions were fairly easy. Television day, they reverse, they get tough, and vice versa. I remember a show that Mike Edwards and I made where they were pretty tough all week long. We get on the show, and we had as much area as we needed, and the scores were high. So I've seen this before. Just didn't really expect it today.
No, I don't think anybody did. You know, we were talking to Mike Wolfe yesterday, and he's telling us, you know, we expect 5 or 6 strikes in a row. You know, that we're going to be slapping them together. Instead, it's spares that are being put together in a row.
I asked Mike what he thought the winning scores were going to be today, and he said 250 plus.
We haven't even gotten into the 240s. But there's hope. Randy, there's always hope. Perhaps that championship game. Mike Scroggins, the lefty, waiting to see who he will face. Will it be that man, Mike Wolfe, or his opponent, Bill O'Neal? The conclusion of our second semifinal when we return to Taylor, Michigan.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Bayer. The more you know, the more you trust Bayer. By Prescription Flomax. By CLR. CLR. All kinds of dirty, one kind of clean. And by the United States Bowling Congress, ensuring the integrity and protecting the future of the sport of bowling. Bowl with us.
Those were shots of the Henry Ford Museum here in Detroit. Not a lot of hybrids shown in that display as we come back inside the house here. Taylor, Michigan, an updated look at the Denny's PBA Player of the Year standings, and Bill O'Neal with his second place finish last week, now sitting in third place with 18 points, just 2 behind Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Slowly but surely climbing that ladder.
And this is a guy, Randy, that you really feel once he gets that first title, it's the old snowball effect.
There's only one thing holding Bill O'Neal back. That's Bill controlling his emotions on television.
And when you say controlling emotions, it's not like he's acting out, not like he's barking and screaming that you might see on a football field or a basketball court when you're talking about containing your emotions. These are just subtle, slow it down, breathe type of emotions you're discussing.
No, exactly. I mean, he gets into a situation where he has a chance to put his opponent away on television or win his first title, and he gets amped up internally and he gets fast. And he's got to be able to control his pulse when it comes down to crunch time. So that will enable him to make the shot that he wants to make.
After 6, O'Neal down just 1. 05-06 Rookie of the Year. Rhino Page is the reigning Rookie of the Year in the PBA. We've yet to see him on television this season. All right, let's get it going here. A lot of O'Neal fans in the crowd here. Again, O'Neal bowled collegiately not too far from here at Saginaw Valley State University in University Center, Michigan.
Bill's like, thank you, Lord.
Mike Wolfe steps up in the 7th. Just 2 strikes he has thrown here in the semis. 3 career tour titles to his name. There we go. Now we're starting to figure things out.
Yeah, and I don't think Mike's a big fan of the right lane. That one was hooking. Man, that one went sideways.
See Wolfe's max, one better than what O'Neill could do as we begin the 8th. Both O'Neill and Wolfe rolling off of strikes in the 7th. All right, back-to-back jacks for Wolfe here in semifinal number 2. That's the first pair of strikes he's been able to string together.
And it looks like the left lane's a little bit better than the right lane. Good news for Mike Wolfe. He gets to finish the match on the left lane. For Bill O'Neill, not so much.
And 2 in a row for O'Neill as well.
Unless he does a lot of that.
Again, if they all strike out, Wolfe will win by 1.
237, 238.
After a slow start for both, they seem to have found their line and their pacing.
Cup of help.
3 in a row for O'Neill.
You know, the interesting part, though, is that the ball's not finishing flush in the pocket. The strikes that we're watching, with the exception of Mike Wolfe's last strike, they're all light mixers, and that's not a real comforting thing, because on an easy oil pattern, you have no trouble getting the ball into the 1-3 pocket. This oil pattern is broken down in such a manner that it's not so easy anymore. Good.
So both have now thrown 3 in a row.
And let me just make one other observation, if I may, Robert. It's starting to look like this tournament could be gift wrapped for a certain Mike Scroggins.
Sounds about right. You kind of had that gut feeling going into this one as well.
Being the lone southpaw, and he's able to do what he likes to do, going nice and straight at the pocket. But, again, the lanes are constantly transitioning. Who knows? The right side of the lane can break down again and turn into something pretty good.
Scroggins rolled a 238 in his semifinal win over Robert Smith, the 10th. Wolfe. If he strikes out, he will move on to the title. He is 2 throws away from doing just that. 4 in a row there for Wolfe.
No reference to food on that 4-bagger there, Rob?
The holidays are coming up.
Saving it.
Yeah. Pace ourselves.
2 more here. Mike Wolfe shuts out Bill O'Neill.
Five down, 1 to go. Mike Wolfe is not Tommy Jones. That's a good sign.
There's a story there, but I'd like to wait until after this match.
Can we say it while we're on the air, or is it an off-the-air story?
It's on the air story.
Oh, excellent.
Needs 10 here to advance. Oh! Well, Rob, now we have the possibility of a tie. Bill O'Neill has a chance, but he needs all 3 strikes in the 10th frame to tie.
Well, let's see what you're made of, youngster. The 27-year-old Bill O'Neill steps up. The real deal. Needs 3 in a row to force a roll-off. denied. Again, for the third straight week, O'Neal makes television and fails to get that elusive first title.
So you want to hear the Mike Wolfe story?
Love it.
Apparently, this happens on a weekly basis where a couple of fans will go up to Mike and ask him for his autograph. The only downside is they've got the book open to Tommy Jones's picture.
Please go flush. Yes.
Hang in there, buddy.
237 to 215. Mike Wolfe rolls on, where he will face Mike Scroggins in the title match of the PBA Ultimate Scoring Championship. Coming up, a bowling history lesson in one of Detroit's most historic athletic clubs. I said athletic, Randy. And we welcome you back to Taylor Lanes in Taylor, Michigan, just a few miles outside of the Detroit downtown city limits. And Randy, you had an opportunity to hit the big city in one of the more prestigious athletic clubs in this region of the country.
Well, Rob, I got an invite to go to the Detroit Athletic Club, and man, I jumped at the opportunity. They were the most gracious hosts, and it was truly an unforgettable experience. Right in the heart of downtown Detroit, tucked between Comerica Park and Ford Field, is one of the best-kept secrets in bowling, the Detroit Athletic Club. This world-class athletic facility dates back to the late 1800s and boasts itself as the nation's oldest private bowling organization. I'm here with Tom Rayom, who's the Director of Bowling Operations here at the Detroit Athletic Club. Tom, why don't you take us on a little history tour?
Well, the DAC was founded back in 1888. We had an original building that the DAC had sports teams that faced all of the local colleges. University of Michigan used to play football against the DAC back in the day. This bowling center was built, the building was built in 1915, so there's been bowling here in these four walls since 1915. So the history and tradition we have with the bowling program is a rich tradition.
It's anything but a typical league night at the DAC's Bowling Abbey. Here you rub elbows and share a drink with the creme de la creme of Detroit kegglers. And though you may not find the best bowling in the world, the friendships among its members far outweigh pinfall. I'm here with Sean Moran, who is on the board of directors here at the Detroit Athletic Club. And Sean, here at the club, what do you call 2 strikes in a row?
A double.
What about 3 strikes in a row?
Turkey.
What about 4 strikes in a row?
No idea. No one gets 4 strikes in a row around here.
Have you ever heard of Hambo?
No.
No. Have you ever heard of Randy Peterson?
No, never heard of him.
He's top 50 greatest player of all time.
I thought Walter Ray was.
Well, he's the greatest player of all time.
Oh, the greatest player.
But
Okay.
Randy Peterson is one of the top 50 of all time. Never heard of him?
Never heard of him.
Do you want to bowl for money? I'm with Rick Coretti, who's been a member here for 25 years. And Rick, you were telling me earlier that you have some experience against Walter Ray Williams Jr.?
Well, I do. We have something of a rivalry, actually, because he's come here twice for the Pro-Am, and I think he comes exclusively to bowl me because I beat him twice in a row, back-to-back years. You know, he's a pretty good bowler, but it's a tough shot here at the DAC, and I think he has a little trouble adjusting. I worked with him the last time. I think he'll do better if he comes back for a 3rd round.
You think he's overrated?
No, he's a good bowler, but just here, he's a little out of his element.
Look who I've got. Robert Smith, 7-time PBA champion, hanging out here at the Detroit Athletic Club. And Robert, rumor has it that you put on an exhibition here not too long ago where you actually got nervous. Tell us about it.
Yeah, last year during the Pro-Am that we had out here at the Detroit Athletic Club, I shot a 299, and I can honestly tell you that I was nervous.
Why?
The history, the tradition that comes out of here. I mean, looking at the list of people that have shot honor scores, I mean, you know, first one was 1925, the second one didn't show up till 1964. And after I got to about the 9th and 10th shot in, I actually got nervous. The 11th one killed me, and the 12th one, let's put it this way, I left probably the worst flat 10 you'd ever see in your life. Made me cringe a little bit, but I tell you what, the thrill of it, the excitement of actually having a chance to shoot an honor score here, it was worth every penny of it.
I'm here with Marty Brennan, who is an attorney here in Detroit, has been a member here at DAC for over 20 years. Marty, what does it take to be a member here?
Well, to be a member here, you want to be a decent bowler, you want to have a sense of humor, and you just got to be a good guy.
So, Marty, that means that I have a shot. I can be a member here.
I don't think so.
Though the facilities are out of this world and the bowling center is one of a kind, what makes this place so special is the people. A wonderful mix of characters and friends, all sharing their passion for bowling. And special thanks to some of the guys at the DAC, Bill Dunlop, the Coretti brothers, Bill Faber, Marty Brennan, and especially Tom Riom, the Director of Bowling Operations. Thanks for being such wonderful hosts.
Speaking of wonderful hosts, Taylor Lane's doing yet another wonderful job this year on the PBA Tour as we take a look at our Geico Championship recap. We begin with Mike Scroggins in semi number 1.
Against Robert Smith, there's your winning strike. Mike Scroggins wins 238-205. And in semifinal number 2, it's Bill O'Neill against the big bad Mike Wolfe. Mike Wolfe leaves a flat 10, gives Bill O'Neill a shot. Bill O'Neill follows it up with a flat 10. Mike Wolfe advances.
Those two very similar in their scoring output in their 2 matches. Both had 7 total strikes. Both closed out with 5 in a row. The final of the Ultimate Scoring Championship when we return. Welcome back to Taylor, Michigan, and ESPN's continuing coverage of the first of 5 events that make up the PBA Extreme Swing. This is the first ever Ultimate Scoring Championship. Rob Stone, Randy Peterson with you, and we are set for our final. The lefty, Mike Scroggins, will take on Mike Wolfe, and Scroggins will bat leadoff for us. Again, the oil pattern made to resemble a house condition that your normal amateur and league bowlers would be rolling on a daily basis. Scroggins starts us off with the strike.
So will it be the right-hander that prevails in Mike Wolfe, or will there be a party at Scroggies? Stay tuned.
Scroggy, the sole lefty on the show, is at least his goal was coming into this, Randy, to create a nice little trough down that left side and just bring it right on into the pocket. That's the goal. Mike Wolfe drops them all. Take a look at our championship matchup. Mike Wolfe, 3 career tour titles. Mike Scroggins with 5. Both of them looking for their first of this season.
And a lot more television experience for Mike Scroggins. And a lot more cash. Over $1 million in earnings.
Money talks.
Ball change for Mike Wolfe. He's going to something that's a little cleaner to get a little bit more down lane ball reaction.
And it works. When you say cleaner, get into greater detail for me.
The earlier a bowling ball hooks on the lane, the less power it's going to have down the lane. So the less amount of area it can actually cover. So what happens then is the guys go to a bowling ball that's less aggressive, a little bit cleaner through the front. That bowling ball retains energy longer, which gives him that nice motion in the back part of the lane that he's looking for.
Have you ever bowled before, or are you just making up complete gibberish to me?
I read this in a magazine.
Wikipedia. Scroggins denied 2 in a row by the 7-pin.
And you can see that Mike Scroggins is using the same bowling ball he used in his first match because of the lack of traffic on the left side, less transition. He can stay pretty much with the same stuff.
Flomax Weekly update on Mike Scroggins. Last week finished 56th at the Chameleon Championship, which was also held here at Taylor Lanes.
So basically what you're saying, Rob, is this week's much better.
Just a little bit. In the 7-pin.
So, you know, it's kind of twofold. All right, one, what do I need to do to get the ball to the pocket? And then two, once I get the bowling ball to the pocket, I got to get it to strike. He's only 50% right now. He can get it there, but he can't knock the 7-pin down. And right now, Mike Wolfe has made an adjustment, and so far, so good.
Mike Wolfe made another adjustment in the offseason, really wanted to decrease the ball speed. He says he guns it around 17.5 miles per hour. Is hoping to get it down to 16, 16.5, but admits he's not quite there yet. One of the ways he's going to do it, feet a little slower, backswing a little lower, all to make that ball smoother and hopefully read that pattern on a more consistent basis.
Right, in order to get his feet slower, the ball has to be initiated into the swing later. And then the other adjustment he made, like you said, was shortening the backswing so that he can do all of this and still be in time. Timing is the key to repetition.
See him waving that one off. He kind of nicked the left part of the 6-pin to hit it into the 10. Yeah, we came in talking about the high scores that were going to be bowled here, but man, everybody's taught. We've seen a lot of faces, a lot of facial reactions from these guys today. I think they're expecting more of that and less of the spare conversions that so many of them have had to deal with today. But Wolfe, 3 strikes through his opening 4 frames. He has an early 9-pin lead. The conclusion of Scroggins Wolfe when we return.
A packed arena crowd in Erie, Pennsylvania witnessed one of the greatest performances in PBA history, and it was turned in by one of their own. Hometown favorite Bob Learn Jr. rolled the tour's 10th televised perfect game and set a 4-game TV scoring record in the process. His 300 game was worth a $100,000 bonus, and his 4-game total of 1,129 pins, which also included games of 270, 280, and 279, remains a record to this day.
3.5 frames in the book in the title match of the Ultimate Scoring Championship. Next week, we pack our bags and head just outside of Chicago for the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship. Live coverage right here on ESPN at 1 Eastern. Robert Smith, the defending champ. Mike Scroggins trailing Mike Wolfe as he begins his 4th frame.
And he starts his 4th frame with a ball change.
Good change, Scroggy.
Same thing that Mike Wolfe did. He goes to something that's a little bit cleaner through the front part of the lane, and he gets much more reaction down the lane.
How many balls do these guys usually bring to an event?
I would say the average touring professional out here probably carries with him 18 to 25, 26 bowling balls.
How many do they actually utilize in a week, would you say?
Depends on how good their look is.
Yeah. This for the first lead of the afternoon for Scroggins.
Didn't like that shot.
Didn't sound good, didn't look good.
It looked like he grabbed it a bit. Watch this release point here. That one's a little bit more loft. It looked like he kind of helped it. That's the kind of shot you throw when you're not really sure that it's going to hook back, so you kind of grab it to give it a little extra, and it always goes inside of target.
That is losing your ball right there.
Okay, Rob.
Three spares, 2 strikes for Scroggins. Here's Mike Wolfe, who has struck in the first, second, and the fourth, trying to string a pair together here in the fifth. The Wolfe cry from the crowd.
I love it.
I
You
do
hear that?
enjoy
That's
that.
Great. Some very creative fans here. Now that style that you just saw right there, the late Don Johnson said it was some of the best footwork he's ever seen. And a pretty good strike there.
There's his wife, Abby. Those two are just married in August, honeymoon in Barbados.
Were you invited?
I missed the invitation, apparently. All right, I'm just enjoying the house right now. Just flat out enjoying the house. So Mike Wolfe with 3 in a row, and he is starting to take control of this championship match and the ultimate scoring championship. Mike Scroggins really needs to start stringing some strikes here ASAP. Third time he has left that 7-pin standing.
Yeah, and unfortunately with the ball change that he's made, he gets more motion down the lane, but it also forces him to open up the lane more than he's accustomed to. He likes going straighter. That's his A game. It's not that he can't do this, but he'd rather do the other. The only problem is when he was going straight, he was leaving 7 pins. Now he's hooking it a little bit, leaving 7 pins. That spells big trouble for Mike Scroggins.
He took the last 2 days off completely. No practice, just basically stayed in his room, watched movies. It's been a long, kind of grueling stretch for him the last couple weeks, and just said, you know what, I'm checking out for a little while. Maybe he should have had a little more practice.
Well, he tried to go back to the other ball, and now he's lost, and he's in a heap of trouble. Mike Wolfe is completely lined up, stringing strikes, and Mike Scroggins now can't get to the pocket.
This is uncharacteristic rolling from Mike Scroggins.
And with a spare here, the best he can shoot if he strikes out is 227. Mike Wolfe already at a 228 pace. The next strike for Mike Wolfe puts him in the 230s. Not bad. 3-1 in title matches with almost a 230 average.
It's about to be 4-1. Hambone! That's right, I said hambone. Hambone for Mike Wolfe. I'm a one-man wrecking machine here. I have the microphone and I am in control.
Let me know when it's my turn.
Go get him, Randy. You can begin your Wolfe cry right now if you want. Let's hear it, Randy.
I'm not very good at that. Right now, Mike Wolfe can just pretty much put his foot on Mike Scroggins' throat with a strike here. Whoa. Almost 4-9. Only the 4-pin. Boy, he likes this shot, too. Check it out. It just goes sideways. 9-pin stance for a moment. But remember, if he marks out spare strikes from the 8th frame through the 10th frame, he will be in the 230s. The best Mike Scroggins can shoot if he strikes out 8th, 9th, and 10th is 227. So in Mike Wolfe's world, he's just trying to stay clean now.
And now Mike Scroggins really has to press for some strikes. Only 2 strikes through his opening 7 frames. All the rest have been 9 spares. There's the strike. see the shake of that head. This is certainly not what he expected from himself. Yet to string together some strikes in this championship match is Mike Scroggins. Another opportunity now here as we begin the foundation frame. So able to keep a little pressure on Mike Wolfe here.
Mike Scroggins had 8 strikes in his first match and 4 in the championship match. Mike Wolfe in complete control, and like I said earlier, any type of mark in the 9th and 10th frame, he wins title number 4. That's okay. That's okay for Camp Wolfe. I mean, 9 spare, 9 spare. Let's just take this thing home.
Kind of nudged that one to the corner. So Wolfe up in the 10. As my partner has said, needs only a mark to shut out Mike Scroggins. There you go.
Winner, chicken dinner right there.
The new Mrs. Abby has eyes on that prize.
What a beautiful shot. This is 10 back. That is deep.
Can't you watch a replay? That was a pretty good one. Man.
Abby enjoying that. Looked like Wolfe was briefly overcome with a little emotion there. I mean, you obviously expect some emotion winning a championship, but looked like he was trying to fight something back. Mike Wolfe wins the Ultimate Scoring Championship for his 4th career title. What a way to wrap it up. .246 for Wolfe. And a little sugar from the misses to boot.
And a lot of disappointment for Mike Scroggins.
Scroggins not done yet with his day, and this is a day he wants to see just end. It was a decent semifinal win for him with the 238-205 over Robert Smith. 8 strikes, closed with 5 in a row. But this title match, yeah, just to see his arms kind of fling out. Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. He just wants to get on out of here. Mike Wolfe wants to celebrate. 246 to 206.
Thank you. More of them, baby.
In control from the get-go. Wolfe started with 2 straight strikes, 4 in a row beginning in the 4th, and then 3 in the 10th for career title number 4, winning at 246, 206 over Mike Scroggins. We'll be back to wrap it up from Taylor, Michigan. After this, Mike Wolfe, your winner.
The Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour on ESPN is brought to you by Etonic, the official footwear of the PBA. By Denny's, where America's favorite breakfast is now available to go. Real breakfast 24/7. By Geico. 15 minutes could save 15% on your car insurance. Visit geico.com. And by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less.
Welcome back to Taylor, Michigan, where Mike Wolfe has just won the first ever Ultimate Scoring Championship. He struck 6 times in the opening 7 frames for a final of 246 to 206 over Mike Scroggins. Wolfe wins PBA Tour title number 4, and he's standing by downstairs with Randy Peterson.
Mike Wolfe, you're collecting your 4th title out here on the Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour. How does it feel to get back in the winner's circle?
There's words don't describe it. It's an awesome feeling, and we couldn't have done it without the great fans at Taylor Lanes, the staff at Taylor Bowl. We thank you guys. It's fun every week we come here. It's a great week, and all the guys at KI and Storm, thank you guys.
How do you and Abby celebrate?
We'll take a couple of days off and get some rest, and back in Chicago, do it again.
Congratulations, Mike. Thanks.
Next week, we are in Chicago for the CLR Carmen Salvino Scorpion Championship live coverage next Sunday, 1 Eastern, right here on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Another winner this season on the Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour. Mike Wolfe takes his first of the season and 4th overall. Took down Bill O'Neill in semifinal. Number 1, 237 to 215, and then dispatched Mike Scroggins 246 to 206. For Randy Peterson and our entire crew, I'm Rob Stone. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.